Good evening, everyone. It's the fourth Saturday of the month once again. So we welcome you to our 18th segment of What About Your Story Saturdays, brought to you by Lion at Heart: Discovering Courage and Greatness Within, a leadership, personal, and a spiritual book. Now, I wrote this book because I believe that a book is an opportunity to use our voice for the voiceless, to spread love, hope, inspiration, and to provide a haven of peace to all who are wounded. It is call, it is a call to find courage and greatness within. So my compelling story helps and allows you to understand that we are all walking through darkness, but only through hardships and sacrifices that we can attain victories in life. Lion at Heart is written for both men and women. So today we are inspired to present to you our special guests, and we are blessed to have four remarkable and God-centered men who read my book and are willing to share their views from their hearts. Today, our topic is on chapter 5, To Have and to Hold. Always remember that everyone needs people around us. One of the most important things in life are the people, because God places people and opportunities right in front of you. So it is important to keep your door open to any possibilities that might just be knocking in your door. But if your door remains shut, you can miss out on something big. Jesus and these three men in my life, my father Cristino, my son Nico, and my husband Greg, changed my life forever. They are my to have and to hold. So at this point, I've asked four of my Lina Circle: Sylvia Morales, Beth Busa, Emmy Cadaves, and Betty Pickard, to join me and help interview our four special guests. So allow me to hand you over to our lovely lioness, Sylvia Morales from Austin, Texas. Welcome, Sylvia, and please do the honor to introduce our guests.
Thank you. Thank you, Kai. It's a pleasure to be a part of this movement. Hi, I'm Sylvia Morales from Austin, Texas, and I would like to welcome everyone for joining us today. We are really excited to be here with the author of Lion at Heart, and I'm really honored to introduce our four male guests on this fantastic Saturday session. First, I want to introduce to you Greg Hayes. He grew up in Bay Village, Ohio, the state where I'm originally from, and he graduated from the Ohio State University. Go Bucks! His career was in the information technology industry for 37 years. Unfortunately, in December of 2014, he was afflicted with stage 3 brain cancer. And if that wasn't tough enough, 6 months following his operation, he was released from his job after having worked with his last company for almost 19 years. The good news is he was blessed to find a new job within 2 months, earning a higher salary. And also, he is now 5.5 years cancer free. Yay! He is happily married to the love of his life, Ty, the author, and they currently live in Austin, Texas. Last November, when he turned 60, I was able to help him retire from corporate America, and they continue to help people dig their well to achieve a better health as well as a better way of life, like they have accomplished. Next, we have Charles Rush, who was born and raised in San Francisco and graduated from Gonzaga University. I hope I pronounced that correctly. He was previously a real estate broker, but now he is can't even say the word, is an attorney practicing workers' compensation law. He has been a parishioner of the Cathedral of the Blessed Sacrament for the past 17 years, and currently he serves as an usher, and he served at the Cathedral's Parish Council and has served on nonprofit boards such as Sacramento Life Center and the People Reaching Out. Charlie has been married to Jerry Rush for 36 years, and currently they reside in Roseville, California. Our third guest is none other than Ann Lee, who was born in Saigon, Vietnam. In 1975, he left Saigon to the US during the Vietnam War, and he left behind his parents and his siblings, which is pretty sad, but he wanted a different route. And his first stop was in Guam. And then he went to Los Angeles, California, and eventually he settled in Houston, Texas, where he lived and went to college. And then he moved to Dallas and started his career in information technology. He has been active in the community, volunteering in temples and churches. He is a member of the nonprofit organization called Viet Aid Fund, where 100% of the proceeds goes to the less fortunate in Vietnam. And it's very, very good thing. And I'm glad he's doing that. He has one son in his second year of college, and his hobbies are photography and volunteering. Lastly, we want to welcome Joe Fagan. He has been married for 32 years and who is a father of a 23-year-old daughter and a 20-year-old son. He has been a member of St. Joseph's in the Hills Retreat House for 25 years. His 30-plus years career was in pharmaceutical and medical sales. Currently, he is employed in the Knights of Columbus and has been a member of the Knights since 2011. He is also a graduate of The Ohio State University, a die-hard Buckeye fan, just like Greg Hayes, and has a Bachelor of Science degree in Life Health. Now, let's begin. We have four lovely ladies who will be asking questions to each of our male guests. Gentlemen, you are given 60 seconds to share your hearts for each question.
90 seconds.
90 seconds. Okay, we'll give you a little more time.
2 minutes.
Because the big lioness over here said so. All right. I will pass this over to our first lovely lioness, Beth Busa from New Jersey. So take it away, my dear.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. I'm so excited. It's raining men. Hallelujah. It's raining men. For the first time, we have 4 men in our segment. Good evening, everyone, and welcome everyone to our 18th segment of What About Your Story, brought to you by the Lion at Heart. Thank you, gentlemen, for gracing our show tonight. I am so honored to ask the first question, and this goes to everyone. We know that we are surrounded with people who, one way or another, has touched our life or inspired us significantly. In chapter 5, To Have and to Hold, we need people around us. Kai Hayes shared that there are 4 very special people: Jesus, my God, my father, Justino, my son, Nico, my husband, Greg. These people who she attributes her success, happiness, and significance. So my question to you is, could you please share with us who were the people in your lives that inspired or influenced you, and how? Of course, we're going to start with Greg, the one closest to Kai's heart. Greg, are you there?
Wow. Wow, am I lucky. Okay, good question. So, the first person that inspired me to be the person I am today is my father. He was a great disciplinarian. He taught me to appreciate what was given to me and to share with others who were less fortunate. He was very supportive and loyal to my mother and our family. He was fair and allowed me to make mistakes in life, which I made many, and still he loved and tried to support me. The second person that inspired my spiritual side was my young life leader in Ohio, Tom Hammond. My family brought me up in the Roman Catholic faith, but Tom in young life was able to take the Catholic knowledge and bring it deeper into my faith. He was able to touch my heart and inspire me to truly understand God and Jesus, and how flowing I would be a better Christian in dealing with my life. The third person that not only inspired me, but has changed my life positively in many ways is my lovely wife, Kai. She's always been there to inspire, encourage, support me through all the ups and downs in life that have occurred over the last 20 years. And I could go on and on for hours. What all the blessings she's provided me and will continue to be.
Oh my God, Greg, that made me so teary-eyed, so emotional. I'm so close to both of you, so I know what you're talking about. I'm so speechless and so profound. Okay, so now let's go hear from Charles Rush. Charles?
Thank you. First, I have to acknowledge God as my creator and savior, but as to because he's the one who's given me his love and the talents that I have, I'm still learning about. But from an earthly standpoint, the first person it's really inspired me to be the best version of myself is my dad. He's a self-made man. And I won't go into the explanation of that, but he was a person of integrity and had a strong faith and belief in our Lord Jesus Christ. And he was loved and just believed in his family and the strength of it. And he taught us that we were one unit. And he was always behind me. He believed in me, even as I was failing. It was pretty amazing. But he was also more than a dad to me. I learned to love him so much. He was my mentor in life. He became my, I guess you'd almost say my advisor. I always would call him up or I'd say, hey, you got time for lunch? And he always made time and he would give me his best advice. Did I agree all the time? No. I mean, put it this way. I am where I am today because I learned a lot from failing, but never stopped believing in myself. And that's what he knew. And I knew he would always give me the best advice, whether I agreed with him or not. The other person in my life that has meant so much to me is my wife, Jerry, of 36 years. She was an answer to a prayer, and I needed it. And after the first year of marriage, it just go a little funny one, is that I asked her just out of the blue, why did you marry me? She said, I saw a promise. And I go, what does that mean? I saw a promise. But I figured it out over the years that she always believed in me. She believed before I was even an attorney. And when I became an attorney, I should say, she made it possible for me to study the bar and pass. So when I pass, I tell people I didn't pass. I say we pass. It was a team effort. And so we now call each other Team Rush. We know we have ourselves, each other in our backs, and we trust and love each other beyond belief. So I look at all this, God, my dad, and my wife, and I say, for me to become the best version of myself is still a growth process. I'm still in that process. But you have to be humble. You have to love yourself and love others. And then you have to believe in yourself. So God gave me the talent to become. He gave me the tools to become the best version of myself. My dad taught me how to use those tools. And then I had a kick in the rear. I had Jerry right behind me, making sure that I'm always working towards that goal to become the best version of myself. And I thank her so much.
Absolutely inspiring. Thank you, Charles. I also have my dad who has always believed in me. And it's like I've never did anything wrong in his eyes. So I even until now, everything that he told me still resonates to me. So now I'm excited to hear from Ann Lee. Ann? Yes.
Hello, world.
Yes.
Thank you, Sylvia, Beth, Betty, Emmy, and especially Kai for giving me an opportunity to share from my heart. Secondly, Sylvia, there's a couple of corrections that I would like to make on the my bio. Yes, I did leave in 1975, but I was fortunately left with my dad, my mom, and my 3 siblings. So I didn't go by myself. So the way we left was quite a little bit of a shock. Basically, he used to work for a company called Pan Am. For that company, airline company. So one night, gosh. One night he came home and said, "We all have to leave."
Take your time, Anne.
Yeah.
It's okay. You're good.
We had to leave from Vietnam to a better place. So we went to Guam, and then we ended to Los Angeles, and then from there went to Houston. It's going to be difficult.
Speak from your heart. You're beautiful, Anne. Take your time.
I'd like to take a break and we can have someone else.
No, we're good.
Beautiful.
No, we're
No.
good. No.
He
Put me
can
on the spot.
continue. We will continue.
So anyway,
Okay.
when we arrived in Houston, we had no understanding of English. That's for my dad and that's for my mom. So basically, they work as hard as they could, whatever they can, to make us to have a better living. So growing up, we never want to disappoint my mom or my dad for what we went through. But we're successful now due to them, and we will never do anything to hurt them. And now, as they're getting older, it's time for us to basically return that to them. My dad is very sick.
We appreciate you, Andy.
He's getting chemo. And we're doing the best we can. I've been basically driving back and forth between Dallas and Houston, taking care of them as much as I can during this particular difficult time. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne, for opening up your heart to us. Actually, I can relate to you because I am a cancer survivor, and I want to tell you, I want to reach out to you and say that everything's going to be okay. I know it's going to be hard. The journey is going to be hard, but at the end, there's always a light in the tunnel. So we will be praying for you and your father. And I know that, God has a plan for every one of us. So we are with you. And all right. Oh my God. I thought that the men will be different if we interview them. But, I know that we're talking to your emotions. So, we really appreciate your rawness. And I'm glad that I have a box of tissues here right beside me. So, and last but not the least, let's hear from Joe Fagan. Joe?
You may unmute yourself, Joe.
Thank you. It's kind of difficult to just pick a small number of people who have been so after giving us some thought, like several of the guys before, or all of the gentlemen before me, parents were obviously the first mentors. I still, just one little tidbit or nugget, to this day, I remember I was a real little kid. I probably was only 5 or 6 years old. And my dad just looked at me and he said, just always tell the truth and things will work out. and then he smiled and he said, besides, if you lie all the time, he goes, if you lie all the time, you're never going to remember what you told everybody. It's just too hard. So even when it's hard, tell the truth. And that was something that he just kind of set a pattern for me to live by. I would always, whenever there was some questionable things, I even though as an adult, I would still remember that in the back of my mind. And he was just always much like Charles' father. He went from being father, mentor to friend later in life, which was great. My mother's very inspirational in a very different way. Believe it or not, she's 80 years old and she's still a flight attendant. So yeah, but she she's done all kinds of interesting things, and it's had some difficult things thrown in her life, but she's always been able to bounce back, no matter how difficult whatever situation came to. She figured out a way, and that's that's always been comforting, and it's a good thing to watch. In my earlier days, when I was in college, I transferred to Ohio State, and much like Greg said, he goes, I was raised in the Catholic faith, and I'm still a practicing Catholic. But there was this guy on our floor. He was the RA, and it was Greg. And one day we got into this rather deep discussion about faith and Christianity and all kinds of things. And to be honest, in my college years, that wasn't exactly high on my priority list. But he had this inner peace. He had this knowledge that he seemed to have that I didn't have. I was a bit tumultuous, shall we say, doing everything I wanted to do, but still not necessarily all that happy. And he was one of the first people in my life that I actually sat down and had a real serious conversation with. And I'm like, well, this guy's a serious guy. He's a good guy. He's not crazy. Maybe perhaps I should listen to him. And little did I know that we'd 40 years later we'd still be such good friends. And that led me, of course, that faith led me on a journey, which has led me to my wife, and she's just a very stable influence in my life. That's one thing and we've been married for 32 years. And, everybody has their ups and downs. Everybody has whatever their issues are in life. But at least whatever they are, I go through and I don't have to worry about it. I know I have a rock solid partner, and that's been terrific. And the last person, this may sound a little bit odd, but my daughter has actually inspired me to a great deal. We adopted our daughter from China, and she looked at me one day when she was in high school, and she goes, "Dad, I know I can go to Temple University for free because Mom works there, but I'd really like to go away to school like you did. Because if I get a scholarship, can I do whatever I want?" I said, "Sure you can." Well, she figured out a way to get herself an academic scholarship, a Navy ROTC scholarship, and now she's a naval officer. So I just find that she learned from her grandmother, I suppose. Whatever she figured out what she wanted, and she goes and she gets it. So that's one I'll never have to worry about. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You see, as parents, we are actually the biggest influence to our children. That's what I heard here to any of us. And we all want to be proud of our children. And at the same time, we want our parents to be proud of us too. So, wow, thank you all for being very candid tonight and sharing a part of yourselves to us. Well, this is actually the essence of Kai Hayes. Her book, Line at Heart, our movement, and all this is to inspire people, be the voice for the voiceless, and most of all, give significance to one's existence. That was why I am so proud of my friend and to be part of this group. But we'd love to hear more from our guests, so I'll hand you guys over to Emmy. Emmy is from Rio Grande, Texas, right, Emmy? So Emmy, here's our man.
Well, hello again, gentlemen. We are so humbled to have the four of you as our guests tonight, special guest in our What About Your Story 8th segment. I'm gonna address these questions to the four of you, and I'm gonna start with Greg, and then followed by Charles, and then Anne-Lee, and then the last one will be Joe. So as we all know, Lion at Heart is a leadership, personal, and spiritual growth book. I am so curious as to how do you know the author and how you're related to the author, Kai Hayes, and what make you buy and read her book? And so we all know that this book is very inspirational, very empowering. So are you all gonna recommend this to your friends and family? And why? Now let's start with Greg.
Unmute yourself, Greg.
Wow. What a question to start me off with. How do I personally know the author of this book? Well, as most of you know, the author is my wonderful wife, Kai. So, of course, I would get this book. I'm going to read it, which I have, and I'm learning from it. And we get to share and have this book the rest of our life. And I would definitely and highly recommend my family, my friends, my neighbors, my work and classmates to get and read this book. Now, why would I tell them to read this book and get this book? Well, because this book is inspired by God. And how do I know that? Because I know my wife, her heart, her skills, her abilities, and I can honestly see how she was inspired by God based on how and what she wrote. The miracles and blessings that occurred while she was writing this book, and they continue to occur. The book is a gift from God, provided through Kai to help keep every person on earth and help them to be closer to God, to help them discover and bring out their courage and blessings within themselves, to help them and others live a better life and to follow God more closely. Thank you.
Wow, Greg, that was so profound, full of love. Thank you so much. Very heartwarming. Now, let's hear it from Charles.
Thank you. I've never met Kai personally. I met her through a friend, Karen Leeson. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Karen knew that our son was fighting brain cancer, stage 4, and she knew that Greg had fought cancer and won. And it's then I learned there's such a difference between stage 1 through stage 4. But regardless, Karen went to Kai and said, "Would you mind talking to Charlie?" And Kai said yes. And so I got Kai's telephone number. I called her and left her a message. I would say within a day, she called me back and we spoke for a long time about their fight and what I have to look forward to. And she said she would pray for him. I couldn't ask for anything more. And so eventually, Scott, our son, lost the fight. And it was tough. But Kai was one of the first people of non-family, non-close family that I called because I knew Kai was praying for our son. And it was amazing. And so I was just so grateful. So go forward a couple of years and I hear that Kai has written a book. And I told my wife, I said, I got to buy it. I said, she supported me. Why can't I support her? And it turned out to be such a great book to read because not only did she tell her story from a personal standpoint, she intertwined her story into all the successes that you have to know, the principles of success in order to succeed. And then I learned the best part. She donates part of each of the book's proceeds. And I said, it's a blessing. It's a double blessing to me for reading the book, and it's a blessing to those that she's helping. And would I recommend the book? Yes, absolutely. Because she shared so personally her story and told it in such a way that it would make everybody believe that they can succeed, that they can become the best version of themselves. I know it's helped me, and I've read many a motivational book, many, and none like this. Most authors, they just talk about principles and they blah, blah, blah. Kai talked about her own personal life, and that's what got me. So I thank you, Kai, publicly for praying for our son. Thank you.
Wow, Charlie, when you cross your path with someone, it is a divine intervention. I believe in that. I'm getting
Yes.
emotional. Thank you for sharing that story. You know, it's really heartwarming. Thank you so much. And let's move to Anli.
Okay, I try to be more bubbly this time. I met Kai at a business conference. It's basically just her glow, her smile, basically her beautiful face. As a photographer, I can see, and there's some part of this book that you have to read to understand what I'm talking about. There's things that she has done in the past to make her the way she is. So I highly recommend this book. If I really take this book and I kind of tear out sheet by sheet, basically it's part of my life as well. So thank you for that, Kai. I met her probably for about 2 or 3 years now, and each time that we met, our relationship, our business relationship grows stronger and stronger. Sometimes even on the Facebook and Zoom and all that. So I greatly appreciate your friendship as well as your business and your mentorship. I appreciate that. So if you or anyone that would like to read more about Kai's life, and also Greg, where she went, where she was, and where she is now is unbelievable. You got to pick it up and read it, okay? And it's a very easy read. You should be able to take this book, and once you start reading it, you cannot put it down. That's how good it is.
Yes, it is, Anli. Very inspiring. Thank you so much. Really touch our hearts with the connections with Kai. And let's move to Joe.
Well, as I've mentioned, I've been friends with Greg for 40 years. So I met Kai approximately 20 years ago. And although since we've always lived kind of far apart, I didn't get to see her a great deal of time. So the first thing that hit me with the book, when they were telling me what it was about, I thought, I got to get that book just to get to know Kai a little better, which really helps. Which is really what happens in this book. You get to know her. She speaks from the heart, and like Charlie said, I've read a lot of success books and self-improvement books, and they're wonderful. I highly recommend them. This one's more personal. This one, the author brings you into her world, and quite honestly, I knew some of her personal story before, and I thought, well, anybody who's overcome some of the things that she's overcome, I got to know a little bit more as to why, and it's helpful to read, to look and to see what someone's been able to overcome. So I've heard it said years ago, if 100 people put all their troubles in a bag and you throw them in the middle of a circle and you grab out a bag, you'd open that bag and you'd want your own bag back. Well, Kai has overcome some issues that I don't know if I could ever overcome. So the nice part about that is that you realize you're not alone in whatever issues or troubles you're going through in life. There are people who have gone through really hard times and worse than yours, perhaps. And she made it through. So it's encouraging for other people to take a look at this, and it'll help you through some of your issues and troubles. And yes, I'd recommend the book to all.
Emmy, can you unmute yourself? Sorry.
Well, certainly having you, the Lions, we are so moved because the way you are touched with this book, as well as the way we were touched, is more powerful and more stronger and more inspirational, hearing from the four of you. So you certainly bring out a lot of our listener right now into tears. And I know everybody's gonna grab a book. If you don't have one, please. This book really changed my life. It really unleashed my greatness. So thank you all. And before I get so emotional, let me pass the next questions to our lioness from San Antonio, Texas, Betty Pickard. Betty, take it away.
Thank you, Amy. That was great. Wow. This really has brought back my dad. I wasn't expecting this. I was very close to him and lost him. He was 57 unexpectedly. So anyway, I just want to say good evening to everybody. Thank you all for getting on tonight on our live. Thank you, gentlemen. This has been so good. Oh, wow. This has been inspiring for me and brought back so many memories. So I'm going to ask you all the third question, and I will start with Greg and then Charles and then Ann-Lee and Joe. My question to you, gentlemen, is Ladies at Heart, Lion at Heart book has 11 chapters. What chapter is your favorite chapter, and what chapter caught your attention the most and why? And Greg, I'll start with you.
Sure. Wow. Well, first of all, knowing so much about this and working with Kai, helping her, what I've learned too is this entire book and its chapters have key messages that can help everyone to learn and improve their lives. I personally feel that as I continue to read, each chapter got more informational and helpful for me in various aspects of my life and my faith. So, yet the chapter that caught my attention the most deeply would be chapter 10, sharing your gifts with others. This chapter resounded very deeply with me because even though I've had a number of tough times and struggles in my life, and based on following the three key people that I mentioned in God that have positively impacted my life and brought me closer to my faith, it's taught me how to be blessed and how blessed I am in my life and how it's been. To share my gifts and lessons in life, to help others, is truly what inspires me and makes my life worth living. Like what Kai wrote in this chapter, greater love is giving and sharing your gifts with others. I'm a servant in this life. I'm blessed with so many wonderful things. If I really am a true Christian, then I must not only enjoy these blessings, but I need to pass them on to others. This chapter reminded me that no matter how easy or life is, how hard it can be, there's always love and blessings that you can share with others to help them, which is a true gift from God. Thank you.
Wow, that was great. I also, 10 and 11 were my favorite chapters. So next we're going to go to Charles.
Thank you. I think Greg read my notes or something, but I could say it was chapter 11. I could agree with you. Chapter 11 is one of the good ones because it succinctly puts in words from every chapter prior to it. And so you could just read that chapter and you would get a short synopsis of the book, but it would cause you to read it. But actually my favorite chapter is chapter 10 also. Without a doubt, sharing your gifts with others. I called it better known as sharing your time, your talent, and your treasure. God's given each one of us time, talent, and treasure. It's the difference is how we use it. Do we realize we have time? Do we realize we have talent? Do we realize we have treasure? And once you figure all that out, love takes over and you can share your time. We all have the same amount of time every day, every week, and every year. So how are we going to share our time? Well, sleep and eat and do whatever, but you still have about 6 hours to give. And so just give that time, give it to charity, give it to, your church, however you want to help others, share that time with them. And then you got talent, and we all have talent. I mean, God gave us plenty of talent, every one of us. It's how we use the different talents and put it together, and again, be able to help others. Because of our successes, we should be able to help others. And it's a command. We're a steward of that talent that God gave us. And so we have to use it. If we don't, we're wasting what God has given us. And then treasure. This is one that's really interesting to me because it's my favorite of the 3 T's, because we all think we're making good money, and so we just keep spending and spending and spending. And what happens really? We're not giving. We're not giving. And so my wife and I, we took a course from Crown Ministries, and I called it Economics 101 per the Bible, because I never heard about tithing. You still don't hear too much about it, but it's giving of your treasure. And treasure can be anything. And so for us in this course, you're taught how to figure out how to give 10%. And it's not 10% of net, I learned. It doesn't say net, it says gross. Give your gross amount. And so that's what we learned. And the biggest thing is, what we learned is the more we give, the more we get back. We've never wanted, once we started giving, and it's just the blessings. And it's nothing coming back outside of great feelings and the love of others. And you don't do it for that, you do it to give. But I just thank God for everything He's given us. And like I said earlier, I thank Him for Jerry, my wife, because she's part of this time. She's part of my talent. She's part of the treasure. And it's just fantastic to share. So I just thank you, and I thank you, all of you, for the opportunity to be here.
Wow, that was great, Charles. And it's not ours to keep either. We're really supposed to give it to people. All right, I'm going to move on to Annalee, and I'm praying for your dad. I know what you're going through. I've lost several family members to cancer, but God's in God's hands. So I'm going to turn it over to you for this third question. Thank you.
Joe, I don't know what chapter you decided, but I'm selecting chapter 10 as well. And I promise Charlie or Gray or I did not discuss this before we got on the call today. As Sylvia introduced me earlier, I belong to a nonprofit organization called Vid Aid Fund. This would have been our 15th year with that organization. 100% of the proceeds that we raise whenever we do any type of events goes back to the organization so we can help out people in Vietnam. Throughout the year, we'll travel to different states to do charity events to raise money. So when we do that, my flight ticket, my hotel, the food that I eat is out from my own pocket. We don't take anything from the organization. When the members go back to Vietnam to assist with those people with the money we have raised throughout the year, they go back there using their own money, and their hotel and their transportation is from their own pocket. None of that is basically taking it from the organization. We go back there, $50 can basically assist an elderly with cataract surgery. That's how much it costs. $200 can help a student with college for 1 year. We help different orphanages. We help different temples. We assist with elderlies. We assist with building houses, floods, and all that. So throughout the year, that's what we do. We were hoping that this will be a big year for us, and then unfortunately something happened to the social society that we were not able to do our 15th year. But we're hoping to restart that next year, and then raise more money, and then bring it back, and then help the less fortunate that we are basically blessed to have. So giving back is something that I always look forward to and help as much as I can. And sometimes those events interferes with my business conference, and I have to pick and choose, and helping the less fortunate right now takes priority over the business conference, and then in the future that might be different. So again, thank you for the opportunity, and yes, I got emotional, and hopefully I can touch somebody throughout this interview. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, thank you, Annalie. That was awesome, and bless your cause that you're doing, and that's awesome that you're doing that for people. Last, I'll turn it over to Joe. Unmute yourself.
Well, I'm going to go off the board a little bit. I didn't pick chapter 10, although I'll have to reread that. I actually went with chapter 3 because it was kind of more nuts and bolts, and it really what it really got into was some of the difficult times. And part of what I enjoyed about the book is that the whole theme of the book was that it's about overcoming and finding the person that you were meant to be. And I thought I really related to the various, whether it be early in her life in the Philippines, her relationship with her father, and what the various things she had to overcome and the hard decisions she had to make relative to her son Nico and coming to the United States, and then what to do next. So I just really enjoyed the progression of accomplishments, and as she said, she was fearless in the way she went about it. But I got to believe there was some trepidation there some of the time. So I appreciated the overcoming.
Thank you so much, Joe. This was awesome. I love it. Thank you, Kai, for putting this together. I'm going to turn it over to our author at Line at Heart. Hope that you order your book today. Please check it out. And I love you all, Linuses. You are awesome. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Ms. Kai Hayes.
Thank you, Betty. Whew. You were amazing, and so with our guest tonight. I am deeply honored and humbled to have these amazing gentlemen who took their time to join us today. Oh my God, I'm very emotional. Certainly, the one valuable thing that I can say is God is with us today. He has blessed us with these gentlemen who spoke from their hearts. And I did not pick you guys. God gave me that thought to pick you, to be here with us. Betty, Emmy, Beth, Sylvia, thank you for helping me out interview our amazing Lines at Heart. And for our amazing guest, you truly added so much value and wisdom to our viewers. Not only that, I believe that you moved and touched our lives today. It is such an honor to have you all, gentlemen. Of course, Greg, my husband, Charles, Annalie, and Joe, for my special friends, for being with us tonight and taking the time to share your voice, as our mission is be the voice for the voiceless. You have greatly inspired us tonight here at Line at Heart live show. In behalf of our Linus Circle, we hope that we shed some light in your lives today, and we shall see you in October 24th. This is our author, Kai Hayes, Lion at Heart, signing off. Thank you for blessing us today, gentlemen. I love you, ladies, and have a wonderful weekend.